Joe Siracusa is an international security expert and the Dean of Global Futures at Curtin University. He joins me now from Perth, Australia. Professor, this alliance is obviously an attempt to rebalance the power dynamics in the Indo-Pacific. Will it work? Can this counter China's growing influence?
Good afternoon. No, I don't think it's going to work. This particular arrangement is very long on promises and very short on specifics, even though they were supposed to iron out some things. Look, a real deterrence would have been a nuclear-powered submarine with nuclear missiles or something like that. But a nuclear-powered submarine with conventional warfare isn't going to deter anybody from doing anything, as a matter of fact. And you know, it's going to cost a lot of money. These ships, these boats are not going to arrive here for a long period of time. Australia hasn't figured out what's going to happen when you have multinational crews. There is no workforce to take on this on the building of these boats, and they're going to need thousands of young men and women to become submariners. You know, and Australia notoriously does not attract those kinds of people. Keep in mind, a nation of 26 million only has 59,000 people wearing a uniform. The rest are sitting at a desk and the like. I mean, there is no one's rushing to the recruiter's office to join the submariners force. So in a way, just for the next 4 or 5 years, this is going to be an American and British show. The British and the American will rotate their nuclear subs off the west coast of Australia, which is good news. And keep in mind here, Melinda, that and this is based on my 50 years of being here and observing these things. This arrangement says more about Australia than it says about China, because Australia is determined to have a great and powerful friend to guarantee their sovereignty. And Britain did that for a long time. And after 1952 with the ANZUS Treaty, it was the turn of the United States. So, and Australians aren't too excited about this. I mean, these people are talking like they've discovered something important here. This is like the Maginot Line. It looks pretty good on paper, but when it actually came into force, it didn't work so well.
So China, though, have spoken after this joint press statement in San Diego there, saying that this is going to deter peace in the region. They've likened it to Cold War politics. They seem to be taking it quite seriously.
Well, they do, but on two counts. Number one, they say that by transferring this technology to Australia, the United States, Australia, and Britain violated the spirit and letter of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty of 1968. And they're absolutely correct. As soon as you start transferring this kind of stuff based on your own interpretation of the day, you're kind of breaking the rules. So the International Atomic Energy Agency is still waiting around. So, the Chinese are correct on that. Now, they're also saying that this kind of a deal contributes to the containment or boxing in of China, and therefore it's escalatory. I think that's correct. Keep in mind, and people don't realize this, these nuclear-powered boats not only have a defensive capability, but they have a very strong offensive capability. And they're important in terms of strategic, tactical, and operational offensive maneuvers. So they can move around and do that kind of thing. So the Chinese are very worried that that their plan for Australia is not working. Their plan, of course, for Australia is to drive a wedge between the United States and Australia. And of course, it's very hard to do because Australia, I think, is all in with Washington. American and Australian forces now work interoperably, maybe interchangeably one day. So, Australia's moving closer and closer to the United States. And of course, there's a risk here of you devolve your sovereignty. If you have a multinational crewed boat and someone starts World War III, who do you call? That's the problem. Who do you call?
Just finally, Professor, if this is a successful joint alliance between the three, whether, China can be deterred or not, why is it important to try and gain more influence in the Indo-Pacific? Why is this such an important part that the UK and the US and Australia feel they need to push China out?
Well, China has claimed the resources and the sovereignty of the South China Sea as 3.5 million square kilometers. I mean, China has probably got as good a claim to Taiwan as the United States does to Puerto Rico, which is none at all, as a matter of fact. It's about who determines freedom of navigation in the sea lanes and above the sea lanes in the air and that kind of thing. They're fighting for a big game here. And the big game here is, the South China Sea and who gets to write the rules. The Chinese, because of their population and their wealth, decided that their time has come. But here, Melinda, I've been suggesting for years that President Xi and the Chinese Communist Party, they're not so much a rising power as frightened. They're afraid of going the way of Moscow-dominated communism. They're afraid of disappearing from the stage of history. So much of what they're doing is sort of panic stations, and Australia just drives them crazy. As you might know, Australia's small beer, but they're able to pester the Chinese to the extent where they actually pay a great deal of attention to them. So in that sense, good luck to Kevin Rudd in Washington trying to explain this to the United States, that these things are very irritating and very annoying to Beijing.
Yeah, we might be a small population, us Aussies, but we can be niggling like a mosquito when it counts. Professor Joe Siracusa, live out of Curtin University there in Perth, Australia. Thank you.